Hey guys, what's going on? Justin Silva here from Breakdown Soccer, and today we're going to be taking a in-depth look, doing a perspective analysis on the under-18 women's national team versus Mexico highlights from July 25th, 2014. Here we go. So Mexico on the attack. Now, notice how the shape is forming here, right? But more specifically, obviously, we're going to be looking at the U.S. side here. So they don't push anyone out wide to cover this person. Now, again, let's look at this. So you'll notice here how you have this person wide open. No one here from US has picked this up. They 2v1 this person here. In that situation, they leave this person unmarked, though technically this person could always drop in and fill for that. So you do have that position there, but this person should not be left open. Again, I look at defending very similar to how I look at a man-to-man defense in basketball, is that if you're always leaving someone, if you're always leaving your opponent in front of you, but you're giving them minimal space to work with, that is a better way of going about it because you're going to minimize the options that they can utilize. So, and right here, actually really wasn't a bad strike on the ball. I mean, maybe about 4 or 5 feet in the top right outside of the bar. I mean, if that. Ooh, gave her a little okey doke there. And again, it looks like going for the long pass. Oof, geez, got pummeled, but she was able to get the ball out of there. Again, she probably could have even caught that. Ooh, gave her a little side. Ends up not really going anywhere. No one covering as well there. That actually could have turned out poorly if we rewind this to as well. Let me rewind it a little bit more here. So she moves across, ends up hitting the pass. But in doing so, and I just want to point this out, right? Now, whether or not, so I look at this really only one way. First off, no one was covering this person over here that we saw there a moment ago who was completely open. Additionally, because this person's now coming in this way, you've left this entire space open, right, for an easy play. Now, if the Mexico player would have been looking to her right, or if she would have been sprinting a little faster, probably could have easily done a 1-2 play and had a very high percentage shot on goal. This is what happens when you're not looking both ways before you cross the street, right? Constantly looking around from your peripheral to see where your players are as the farthest defender back. Because typically, if you are the farthest defender back, it is your job to dictate and to direct where your fullbacks are next to you or any teammates around the vicinity, letting them know who to mark and who to pick up. I'm not a big fan of the whole, hey, let's have one center back, let's have one defender be back by themselves, because when you do that, you're starting to kind of get into this whole zone format in a sense where you're always going to leave someone open. And the reason why is because if you're always having one center back or always having one defender who is the sole main back or the last defensive line, better yet, and then you're telling your teammates who to mark, you're always going to have to pick someone up. But the issue is that if that opponent isn't near you for you to pick up, then you're ultimately leaving them as like a free roamer around the midfield or just in front of you, because obviously you have to stay back there. So it only makes sense for the defender who's the farthest back to pick up the farthest striker who's pushed up the farthest. Okay, so let's go ahead and play. Ends up getting the easy pickup, and just a bad touch there from the Mexico player. Clearly could have done more with that ball. So I want to point this out, right? Good opportunity here from the U.S. squad when she got that. Okay, so right here in this situation, I would have immediately started sprinting. There's just no doubt in my mind that that's what should have happened, right? The moment they saw their teammate going for the ball, that's not what happens. They're not in position. Notice how this player here looks like number 8, but I can't really see the angle on the shirt too well. So you have this player here from the U.S. team who is looking towards the player who just kicked the ball, right? The right forward, right striker, and doesn't seem to be communicating or calling out for the ball. There's no hand sign of, hey, lead me here. Maybe she is yelling at her, possibly, but The only thing I can assume here is that, first off, the angle you're taking the shot in isn't really a high percentage because of how far you are to the right of the box. She's at the right quarter, maybe the right fifth, if not sixth, of the box and of the goal box, and so, or excuse me, penalty box. Apologies. And the angle she's taking the shot at is just not going to be a high percentage shot because of how far away she is over there. So she's limiting, where she can shoot from. I mean, of course, if she was able to, hit a little bend it like Beckham and hit a nice little rainbow curve with some topspin, clearly that could possibly go in. But the higher percentage play here is, hey, let's not take the shot. Let's look around to our left. And that's what she should have done the moment that she got around. And I'll point this out, right, because we'll see what happens. She takes the shot and nothing happens. Really just a wasted play here. Okay, so I'm going to point this out. The moment she does this, right here, she should have immediately looked to her left to see who was there on the field, right? Because I mean, first off, you have two ways of going about it. One, on 50% of it, it's her fault. Second percent, or the other 50%, sorry, not second percent, but the other 50% of it is the midfielder player, which is this girl, right? Her fault for not calling it out, right? I mean, I would have been yelling, "Hey, open!" I mean, because you pretty much almost have a 3-on-2 situation here, but a 2-on-2 situation, more specifically. And so, again, why did this not happen? Why was nothing called out? I mean, God, excuse me, the questions of the day. Clearly that could happen. I mean, she probably could have even played a through ball here to the girl. She could have played it earlier too as well. I mean, could have done a 1-2 play pass back to her. So, well, again, we'll see what occurs here. But definitely a wasted opportunity. Another prime example, I want to point this out. Let's rewind this a sec. Okay, here we go. So I want to point this out. Notice how they're just standing there, and okay, so the ball. Let's see where the ball is kicked. Right, so the ball is kicked. Looks like on the right quarter of the goal box when she comes in. And I just want to point, like, I for some reason just cannot agree that standing still in the goal box is going to be the best decision that you can make. I mean, look how far away she's right here, right? Which is probably right in front of the goalpost. You have all of this space that you're leaving open for the ball to, for someone to get a header in. So, right, so like all this potentially. I mean, more specific. I mean, really, if anything, it's like right here, right along the line. And so, I mean, again, it just seems as though they should have been more spread out. Because the thing again, look at how close the U.S. Players are to each other, right? I want to point this out here. You got a girl here, one here, behind, one right here, and here. So they're covering more for like the middle or the near cross. Not necessarily the far. I mean, again, that's just based on where they're set up, even though they are man-to-man covering each person. If it was me, I would be looking at this from a top-down view, or I would be spreading them out about probably about 10 feet away from each other at minimum. And that's because what you have to assume is that a player is going to move a certain distance while the ball is in the air, right, to adjust for where the ball is going to land, right, adapting in real time. And so if you think about it like that, how far can a player really move, right, when the ball is hit in the air? Like, let's say the ball's hit 5 or 6 feet away from them. Can they move that 5 or 6 feet during that air time the ball has to get to it? If that is the case, then you shouldn't be putting them so close to each other, right? I mean, I would have had someone here on the back corner. Then I would have had this girl near post, but I would have had her probably a little bit in front of the near post because she can always adjust and step back. Why are you going to limit how far her range of where she can cover if you're putting her there? I mean, I would have put her in front of the goalpost because she can always back up into that, right? But it also gives her more reach as well. Then you could have had a girl right here, I would say in the middle, but like on the front of the line, and then have a girl maybe here. I guess the girl here is fine because she's between the goalie and the other one. And then this girl could be the floater, either in front or, possibly behind, whether it's somewhere like back here or where she's at right now. So I don't have a problem too as well, though I could see this position being a little bit interchangeable. And then having the 4 there. And again, that's just a simple thing looking at it from a side view, right? I mean, we're not looking at it from a top-down view. So but again, right, it's just, and then just notice how close they are to each other. And it just seems as though maybe she didn't go as hard for the ball as she could have. I mean, I want to point this out too as well. And this isn't, me bashing, of course, anyone, but I just want to point out the reach that the girl potentially had here, right? So we're going to be looking at the blonde girl here, who is, can't even see the numbers of players. I apologize. Okay, so right here, right? So she moves, right? And I just want to point this out. Notice how she jumped a little bit too soon, right? She could have taken a few more smaller steps instead of jumping early. And the ball just goes right over her head. So, again, I mean, you could call it late reaction. You could call it maybe she didn't judge the depth well. Maybe the ball was completely out of her reach, right? Either or. Okay, so here we go. Looks like it wasn't offsides. And let's play this back one more time so we can see what happens. Okay, so ball's grabbed here. Through ball is played to 17. Now, if this was me, excuse me, I should never say if this was me. What I should say is that the shot she took wasn't bad, just unlucky that the angle from which it came at. She could have easily done, because the ball was leading this way, you could have done an instep and then a shot, right? If anything, I would just say overall, this was unlucky. But the real-time effort, the real-time mental skill that went into that play was lacking, right? There wasn't enough focus and self. I just want to point this out. That was a beautiful through ball for a fantastic goal there. And let's rewind this one more time just so we can see it, because this is really textbook through ball, right? You see 7 leaning forward. She sees the angle, right? And I want to point this out, right here. And then see, look, hands go up like she's calling for the ball. And her body motion, you can see how she's leaning, right? Her body motion was leaning forward. And then you see the connection there. Maybe she called for it, maybe she didn't. But I want to point this out because look at what happened from the player the moment, which we're going to take this back just a little bit here. Okay. Oh, a little more forward. Okay, so right here, when this happened, notice what she does. Okay, right here. Okay, so we're looking at the girl who just received the ball here. Okay, so she receives the ball. Look what she does next. She lifts her head up. You might not have seen it there, but she did lift her head up to look. Now, she could have lifted her head up as she was receiving the ball, which is another way you can do it to utilize the time in between the ball traveling and you receiving it to lift your head up and look, or right after you receive or as you're receiving. And so she lifts her head up, and then she looks for the through ball, beautiful through ball there, and then dribbles inside with the right foot, finishes with left. I mean, again, right? Really great textbook through ball play. You could have even done a combination too as well and hit a pass to someone else and then hit the through ball for like a one touch, and that would have been an option too as well. And then right there, oh man, really scary. Again, and I just want to point this out. This is the second time they've kicked it far post, right? The way I look at it is like this. When you're playing against these teams or just players in general, right, who maybe don't have the highest level of consistency or accuracy, better yet, for ball placement, and usually the wisest thing would be, or the most consistent thing would be, or the highest percentage thing would be to mark up or switch your area of where you're covering on a corner kick from where the ball was just recently kicked, and then try to cover that area more. Instead, notice how the women's national team, or at least for this team, didn't change anything. They pretty much ran the same exact thing there. And we can see that, again, based off this, right? Girls are pretty much more or less in the same exact position. The only difference is that they don't have someone guarding the far post here. Instead, they've pushed the far post girl out to where she is now in front of this girl. But this girl's still in the same position. This girl moved forward a little bit, but outside of that, that's it, right? I still think this girl should be a little farther back and a little farther up right before the line, or excuse me, before the goal line. But yeah, and notice how she still has to back up a little bit farther, right? If that was me, I would have already been where she was. Sorry, I shouldn't say if that was me. Lord, intense stuff, yeah. But again, right? I mean, you could tell. I mean, the thing is, I could watch this film and I could say, okay, hey, if they have that same kicker kicking again, she's probably going to end up kicking at far post a little bit around the goal line, right, top of the goal box line. So Ooh, one for the bicycle. Okay, we got a play here. Ends up hitting the kick. Lead ball played on. And just goes for a quick shot. Ooh. And again, and again, let's look at how the play built up. So I would say the kick there wasn't okay. So I want to point this out, right? Why you have already someone running far. All right, how to turn the mic back on. So why didn't you have number 7 run the inside route? Doesn't make really any sense to me at this moment because you're running behind her, but you already have someone back here. Most likely number 7 either didn't see this girl over here or had no idea that she was running behind her, or she knew she was running behind her, but she let instinct take over at this point and wasn't self-aware of her surroundings or self-aware of what she was doing and then her surroundings in order to know the position to be in, because you should have been here in this phenomenal amount of space for a potential cross or for a flat cross in, while also drift, because by doing that you would have led this person there and probably would have drew number 3, which would have left the far post completely open for this girl. So again, right, having to think about those things, but the biggest thing is notice how this player here didn't lift her head up once, right? And we can go back and just look at that one more time here, right, as she's receiving the ball. Okay, so watch this. As she receives the ball, look what she does. Does she look? Okay, it looked like she looked right once, maybe about 20 or 25 feet in front of the penalty box. But let's look. Does she lift her head up? Nope, doesn't lift her head up at all. Didn't lift her head up. She maybe lifted her eyes up there only to look at the goal, but didn't look at all. If she would have lifted her head up earlier, or if she would have, so again, 50% the player's fault, 50% teammates' fault, because you have to call for the ball. Communication's key. So shot. Oh wow, that looked. But still, shanked it. I think this is the last effort we're going to see here for the national team. She has. Oh, and I just want to point this out. I thought this was really awesome how she did this. Right, ball hits there. She heads it over. Psh, goes right around. I thought that was awesome. And hits the play. Okay, so pointing this out, right? She's going to take the shot here, and yeah, pretty far off. But I just want to point out the opening that was created here. So, oh man, so look, so I want you guys. Okay, so number 7 here. Notice how she peels away. This is very similar to a basketball play, which is when you're screening and rolling, right? Or you're doing like a screen off. So you have your center come in, he sets the screen for your point guard, and then you spin off and he plays a split pass to you, right? And then you get the catch, you go for an easy layup or dunk. This is very similar to what you see there, but let's play it one more time here. So watch what happens, right? She plays the header. Now watch number 7, there's the peel off. She opens up. Now her position was decent. When she did the peel off, she should have still been moving forward over here towards the middle, and then you could have hit a play, and then she would have been open for space and could have had a great shot in, or pulled the defender out and then played it again to 22 and then played it in. So options, right? And I think the biggest thing is it's all about playing the small game inside the box. And if it seems as though that's one of the biggest troubles or things that can be worked on as well, outside of a few other things. But if I was watching this replay of this game, right, and these were their main opportunities, I would practice, or I would maybe try to find drills or regiments to work with the team on just specifically inside the box here. Maybe going out 10 or 20 yards from the top of the box here, maybe 10 at the max probably, but I would be running drills on once they get here in the penalty box, how to work around that, kind of playing the small games, right? The small sided games, so to speak. But I would have it doing it with the goal, and working with them on how to create openings, in playing 4v4 or something like that inside the box, because that's pretty much where they're at right now, right? It's a 4v4 more or less inside the box at the moment. So outside of that, man, I hope you guys enjoyed my perspective analysis and breakdown here on my channel. Please feel free to leave any comments. If you have any criticisms or feedback, I would love to hear it. If you enjoyed what I did and you liked what I talked about and the analysis I provided, please feel free to shoot me a thumbs up on the like. and I will be trying to get you guys weekly videos as often as I can. I've just been purchasing a lot of equipment to start doing a lot of my own analysis out here in Georgia, and so I'm going to be looking very forward to starting that, and again, hopefully trying to bring you guys more consistent content and videos here. And that's it. If anyone has any questions, or if anyone would ever like to reach out to me to talk, to have any open discussion or anything like that, please feel free. My contact information can be found in the description box located directly below the video. And again, I'm Justin Silva from Breakdown Soccer. We'll catch you guys next time.